to LawSikho's thorough newspaper analysis for 4th October 2023. Chaliye, let us start with the today's agenda. We'll be covering the editorial session, which is based on Bihar Caste survey data out, why it was legally challenged, and why the court found it perfectly valid, which we have taken from the Indian Express. Then we'll be discussing about the news update, in which we'll be covering the national news, international news, sports, awards, and important days. And lastly, we'll be covering all the legal news update, which is coming from the Honorable Supreme Court and the High Court of different states in India. Chaliye. Now, let us start with why this particular matter was in challenge before the Patna High Court, and why the court found it perfectly valid. What were the grounds on the basis of which this particular caste survey was challenged, and why we are talking about it. Okay, let us discuss everything on that. Now, first, पहले हम ये बात करते हैं that why this particular topic was in the dialogue conversation for a very long period of time. ठीक है? Now, as you all know and are aware of the fact that Bihar Caste survey was released by the state government on October 2nd. Now, this particular caste survey revealed that other backward classes and extremely backward classes constitute more than 63% of the population of Bihar. That means majority, more than 60% of population consists of OBCs and economically backward classes. Now, this particular number are in contrast with the 27% of the OBC population which gets reservation in government jobs, admissions to educational institution. Now, the Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is likely to use this survey data for political mileage not only in the state level but also in the national level. Now, the journey of this caste survey was not smooth, which is I'm very much because it has many hurdles, breakthroughs. Let us understand what were the hurdles were. So when the second phase after 15th April started, the Patna High Court stayed the survey in May, and the High Court stated that the state was not competent to conduct this caste survey. Around 3 months later, the same court termed the survey perfectly valid. Here is a look at why it was challenged and why Patna High Court ultimately upheld it. So we'll understand the two major challenges that were posted before the Patna High Court, that this caste survey is not legally valid, and why lastly the order was passed by the Patna High Court stating that this particular caste survey is perfectly valid in nature. Now, there were two particular challenges that were raised. One, that it violated the citizens' fundamental right to privacy, and second, that the state had no power to carry out such survey. तो पहला ये particular ground ये था कि privacy, right to privacy का violation है, and second argument ये था that state के पास इतनी power नहीं है ये survey को carry out हो सके. Now, we'll understand the detailed context behind this privacy argument. Petitioners opposed the survey, stating that right to privacy of those being surveyed will be infringed due to queries concerning their religion, caste and monthly income. Petitioners का ये ground था कि अगर आप particular person से उनकी monthly income, caste या उनके religion के बारे में पूछेंगे, then it would violate the privacy of that particular individual. Now, but the court referred to the triple requirement test laid down in 2017 case Puttaswamy versus Union of India, reiterating that permissible restrictions can be imposed on the fundamental right in the state's legitimate interests, provided they are proportionable and reasonable. केस पुट्टास्वामी के जजमेंट में ये बोला गया कि परमिसिबल रिस्ट्रिक्शन एक फंडामेंटल राइट पे इम्पोज करी जा सकती है, provided that ये reasonable और proportionate होना चाहिए. Now, the next argument in this particular privacy argument was there are many security concerns. The court accepted the Bihar government's counter affidavit saying that survey has a foolproof mechanism with no chance of any kind of data leakage. Now, after that, the disclosures were voluntarily. It was aimed at bringing the development schemes for the identified backward classes. The court also clarified that the data collected was not for taxing, branding, labeling, or ostracizing individual or groups. But what did the state government say? The data was to identify the economic, educational, and other social aspects of different communities, classes, group, which require further action by the state for their upliftment. So, privacy के अंदर कुछ सब arguments भी थे जो कोर्ट ने इस तरीके से present करे and they were dealt with in the same manner before the honorable bench. Now, the next argument was that the state government is not competent to hold this survey. So, petitioners claim that the only power to conduct a census is with the union government. The legislative and by extension executive power of the center and the state are divided into the constitutional 7th schedule in the 3 list. In this particular thing, in the union list of entry 69, center has the exclusive power to conduct the census as per the constitutional union list. And they also relied on Article 246, where Parliament has exclusive power to legislate only on the matter enumerated in List 1 of the 7th schedule. Now, meanwhile, the Bihar government counter-argument was that even in 2011, a caste census was conducted by the center, the details of which weren't disclosed under Article 73, which states that center power extend to matters on which Parliament has the power to make laws. So, पूरा की पूरा argument जो बिहार गवर्नमेंट का था, उनका ये था कि 2011 में भी ये particular census center ने conduct करा था, in which the details were not disclosed and which states the center power extend to matter on which Parliament has the power to make laws. Now, the final order of the Patna High Court came, which noted that, मैं आपको verbatim पढ़ के दिखा रही हूँ, and it has a very important significance. We find the action of the state to be perfectly valid, initiated with due competence, with the legitimate aim of providing development with justice, as proclaimed in the address to both houses, and the actual survey to have neither exercised nor contemplated any coercion to divulge the details in having passed the test of proportionality, thus not having violated the right of privacy of the individual, especially since it is in the furtherance of compelling public interest, which in effect is the legitimate state interest. The court stated finally in the order that the state was competent. The state was perfectly competent because it was in the legitimate state interest. This particular thing did not violate the right of privacy, and the legitimate aim was for the development with justice, and the actual survey which was exercised contemplated has passed the test of proportionality, which was also stated in case Puttaswamy versus Union of India 2017 case. So this was all about the editorial session, which was based on the Bihar caste survey, and the report was released on October 2nd. I hope it was a fruitful editorial session for you guys and all the points were fruitfully explained. Now let us start with the national news of the day. Now let us start with the national news of the day. Shri Dharmendra Pradhan launches the Bharatiya Bhasha Utsav and 2-day Technology and Bharatiya Bhasha Summit. Now, on the to aim for the transition from current education ecosystem to one rooted in Bharatiya languages, which is in line with the new educational policy, the Union Ministry of Education and Skill Development has launched Bharatiya Bhasha Utsav with the Bharatiya Bhasha Summit. Now, the exhibition is to showcase Bharatiya Bhasha technology products and their application by industries, government organization and startups. Now, on this particular summit, the themes emphasized was the integration of technology in promoting Bharatiya Bhasha, including its role in teaching, training, exhibition, examination, translating educational materials. Now, further to add on this particular slide, the exam takeaway is the government of India has proposed to celebrate the birthday of renowned Tamil poet and freedom fighter Mahakavi Chinnaswamy Subramanya Bharati as Bharatiya Bhasha Divas, which will be scheduled on 11th of December. The Bhasha Utsav, which started on 20th September 2023, will run for 75 days and will culminate on 11 December 2023. So very important aspect for the examination purposes. It is celebrated for Chinnaswamy Subramanyam Bharatiya as Bharatiya Bhasha Divas on 11 December, and Shri Dharmendra Pradhan has launched it, who is the Union Minister of Education and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Coming up to the next slide. Vice Admiral Tarun Sobti, AVSM, VSM, assumed charge as Deputy Chief of Naval Staff. Vice Admiral Tarun Sobti assumed charge as Deputy Chief of the Naval Staff on 1st October 2023. Now, the flag officer, Vice Admiral Mr. Tarun Sobti, was awarded with Vishisht Seva Medal in 2020 and Ati Vishisht Seva Medal in 2022 by the Honorable President of India. He has succeeded Vice Admiral Sanjay Mahindru, who retired after more than 38 years of illustrious service on 30th of September 2023. So, very important point, Varun. Vice Admiral Tarun Sobti has been charged as Deputy Chief of the Naval Staff. The next national news, 30th edition of Singapore-India Maritime Bilateral Exercise successfully concludes in Singapore. Now, the 30th edition of Singapore-India Maritime Bilateral Exercise has been successfully conducted in Singapore. Now, this exercise has witnessed the signing of a joint standard operating procedure on submarine rescue between India and Singapore. During this particular exercise, units of Indian Navy Maritime Patrol Aircraft Fokker F-50 and fighter aircraft engage in complex maritime security exercises, including advanced anti-submarine warfare, surface and air defense exercises, as well as tactical maneuver and weapon firings were done. The next national news, which is coming from the Border Road Organization, General Srinivasan takes over as a Director General of the Border Roads Organization. Srinivasan was earlier holding the appointment of Commandant College of Military Engineering, Pune. Now, Border Road Organization is a statutory body under the ownership of Ministry of Defense, Government of India. It was founded on 7th May 1960 and headquarters is at New Delhi. This particular organization was founded by Shri Jawaharlal Nehru and Director General is Lieutenant General Raghu Srinivasan. Now, BRO has completed around 300 projects, including roads, tunnels, and bridges in forward areas during the last 3 years to boost military mobility and logistics support for deployed forces. So, it's a very important question which can come in the preliminary examination for judicial services. Lieutenant General Raghu Srinivasan has taken over as Director General of the Border Roads Organization. Now, the next national news is coming from the caste survey that was conducted in Bihar. This was a particular topic that we have done editorial section, and it was conducted and released a report on 2nd of October. It stated that OBCs and EBC comprise over 63% of Bihar population. The findings of the Bihar caste census were released on Monday, indicating a major shift in the state's caste demographics. Now, there are some statistical points that needs to be taken care. The scheduled caste make up 19% of the population, and scheduled tribe make up 1.68%. The survey was ordered last year after the Narendra Modi government at the center stated that it would be unable to conduct a census headcount of caste other than SCs and ST. This particular matter was challenged before the Honorable Patna High Court, and the Patna High Court considered it perfectly valid. And the High Court recently dismissed multiple pleas that challenged the Bihar government decision to conduct a caste-based survey in the state, which is covered in the today's editorial segment. The next national news, all of Jammu and Kashmir, 6,650 villages declared open defecation free plus model. Jammu and Kashmir under the Swachh Bharat mission has achieved a significant milestone that all of its 6,650 villages in 20 districts have been declared open defecation free plus model. Now, eligibility for being declared as open defecation free plus model is it has to go through 3 stages: aspiring, rising, and model. When a village has achieved visual cleanliness with minimal litter and stagnant water, apart from solid and liquid waste management and advocate information, education, and communication activity, it is declared as open defecation free plus model. Now, Afghanistan closes embassy in India, citing lack of diplomatic support. The Afghan embassy in New Delhi, which has closed its operation due to lack of diplomatic support in India from October 1st, will continue to provide emergency consular services to Afghan nationals. Now, there were 3 major reasons for the closure of this particular embassy. First, there was a lack of support from the host government. Then failure to meet expectations in serving Afghanistan's interests, and reduction in personnel and resources. Now, the Afghan embassy in New Delhi has been run by staff appointed by the previous government of ousted Afghan President Ashraf Ghani with permission from the Indian authorities. India stand on this particular point was it has said that it will follow the lead of the United Nations in deciding whether to recognize the Taliban government. The Afghan embassy said it wanted to reach an agreement with the Indian government to ensure that the interest of Afghans living, working, starting and doing business in India are safeguarded. Government extends tenure of CBDT, that is Central Board of Direct Taxes Chairman Nitin Gupta, by 9 months. The reappointment of Pramod Chandra Modi as chairman of CBDT has been extended for the further period of 3 months. Now, Mr. Pramod Chandra Modi is a 1982 batch Indian Revenue Service officer who was appointed as a CBDT chief in February 2019. Now, few fun facts for CBDT for examination purposes. It's a statutory authority functioning under the Central Board of Revenue Act 1963. The officials of the board in their ex-officio capacity also function as a division of the ministry dealing with matters relating to taxes, and it consists of chairman and following 6 members. The next national news, India once again sets sight on Mars, ready to launch Mangalyaan 2. 9 years after Mangalyaan success of placing a rocket on the Mars orbit, ISRO is working on the Mars Orbiter Mission 2, that is Mangalyaan 2. Now, Mangalyaan 2 will carry 4 equipments, which is Mars Orbit Dust Experiment, Radio Occultation Experiment, Energetic Ion Spectrometer, and Electric Field Experiment. The previous Mangalyaan mission was India's first interplanetary mission, which made the nation only the 4th country to achieve Mars orbit after Russia's Roscosmos. Now, Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi launches Sankalp Saptaha, a week-long program for aspirational blocks. It's a unique week-long program for aspirational blocks in the country called Sankalp Saptah at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi. Now, let us understand what is Sankalp Saptah. Sankalp Saptah is linked to the effective implementation of the aspirational blocks program. It aims to improve the governance at the block level in order to enhance the quality of life of citizens. It will be observed in all the 500 aspirational districts. The inaugural program will witness the participation of about 3,000 panchayat and block level people representative and functionaries from across the country. The next national news, my government Chief Tripathi to take over as CEO of India Semiconductor Mission. Akash Tripathi, Chief Executive of my government, will be the new Chief Executive Officer of India Semiconductor Mission from October 9th. Under this particular scheme, the center has also approved the modernization of semiconductor laboratory in Mohali as a brownfield fab. This particular semiconductor mission was launched in 2021. Its main focus is to establish a semiconductor manufacturing ecosystem in India. It was allocated $10 billion by the center, and the India Semiconductor Mission screen application received for manufacturing semiconductors in India and shortlist the ones that are eligible for subsidies. The next international news, Nobel Prize 2023 awards are declared. The Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institute announced its decision to award the 2023 Nobel Prize in medicine jointly to Katalin Karioke and Drew Wimson for their discoveries concerning nucleoside-based modification that enable the development of effective mRNA vaccines against COVID-19. Now, the Nobel Prize in other categories, Nobel Prize in Physics 2023, it went to Pierre Agostic, Frank Croix, and Anne Pouillier for experimental methods that generate attosecond pulses of light for the study of electron dynamics in matter. For the other sections in chemistry, literature, peace, it is need to be announced today or tomorrow, lately by October 6, 2023. So, a very important news for judicial services aspirant. It's a highly probability that this particular question comes in your preliminary examination. So do read this particular news. Pro-China leader Mohammad Muzu wins Maldives presidential election. In a closely watched election in Maldives, Mohammad Muzu, the candidate from the Progressive Party of Maldives, emerged victorious in the presidential polls. Now, Mohammad Muzu, currently serving as the mayor of the capital city Male, is a well-educated leader with a doctorate in civil engineering from the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom. He previously had the position of Minister of Housing in former President Abdullah Yamin's cabinet. Now, the legal update which is coming from the Punjab and Haryana High Court in the case of Ravdeep Kaur versus State of Punjab and others. Trial court can't impose life sentence for full life. Premature release during pendency of convict's appeal not barred. So it's a very important verdict coming from Punjab and Haryana court, which has made it clear that trial court cannot impose life sentence on a convict with a rider. The sentence will extend to full life or till the natural death of the convict. Justice Deepak Gupta clarified that such a rider can only be imposed by the High Court or the Supreme Court. The trial court does not have the power to do so. It thus held that the pendency of appeal preferred by a convict against such order of conviction won't bar the convict from seeking premature release in light of state policy dated 2011. Now, the background of this particular case is Ravdeep Kaur was convicted by the Sessions Court in Chandigarh in a murder case and sentenced to undergo imprisonment for life till death. Now her appeal against such conviction is pending before the High Court, and in the meanwhile, she sought a premature release. Superintendent of Central Jail, Patiala, submitted that prisoners awarded punishment till death or imprisonment till natural life are not eligible for a premature release policy by the Punjab government. It was further submitted that the Kaur was convicted and sentenced to 3 years in 2014 under Punjab Good Prisoners Temporary Release Act 1962. Furthermore, the court noted that the female prisoners has already gone almost twice the custody period than required as per the state policy for premature release, and the particular case of the petitioner for premature release cannot be withheld simply for the reason of pendency of appeal before the division bench of this court. The next and the last legal update coming from the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Directorate of Enforcement versus Raman Bhuraiya, the Supreme Court has recently orally remarked that imposing a bail condition requiring an accused to drop his Google Pin location from his mobile phone to the investigation officer concerned throughout the period of his bail is prima facie violative of his right to privacy. Bail condition that accused should share Google location with police prima facie violates the right to privacy. The court is set to consider whether a bail condition imposed by Delhi High Court on the accused requiring him to drop his Google Pin location from his mobile phone to the investigation officer could be permitted in view of Article 21 of the Constitution or not. Now, when the matter came up before Justice Oka, said that a bail condition may prima facie encroach upon the fundamental right of privacy. You must explain to us the practical effect of such condition. Once a person is set at liberty, certain conditions are imposed. But here you are tracking their movement after grant of bail. Isn't this violative of right of privacy? So very important judgment covering Article 21 of the Constitution and K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India case in which right of privacy was enumerately explained, and it has been linked to the Criminal Procedure Code where bail condition had a clause that the accused has to share Google location with the police officer. So this has been dealt by the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Directorate of Enforcement versus Raman Bhuraiya. Thank you so much. That's all for the today's news update and the legal news.